Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about why we chose Seattle and kind of how we got here. So an opportunity came up for my boyfriend to transfer within his job, and he kind of had the two choices between Seattle, Washington and Savannah, Georgia. And in making that decision, we wanted to choose a city that would be best for us career growth wise. And Seattle was really taken off over the past couple of years, and it's growing super fast. We both enjoy like a more city environment. So Seattle had that or has that, and Seattle is really liberal, which is nice because I think it's freeing to be in a liberal city and not feel like you're going to the grocery store and people are judging you. And my boyfriend is from Texas, a desert town in Texas. So Seattle had a ton of trees and just greenness everywhere and a decent amount of rain. It doesn't rain as much as you think, but he did love the weather, so that was another plus for Seattle. A big plus for Savannah, Georgia for me personally was that it wasn't as far as Seattle, and I did have family in Georgia, and then I also have family in North Carolina. So Savannah would have been a safer option for me, but we both discussed it, and we really wanted to like do this whole like life together all on our own. Like I wanted to do things by myself. I didn't want to depend on people because I know if I was close to my family that I would lean on them a lot because that's just me. So Diego got to visit Seattle for a work conference back in February. I think it was literally the same week that a case was found here. That was kind of scary, but we didn't know how serious it was going to be for the US until obviously like now. So yeah, so when he was here, he obviously toured things and vacationed here, and he really found out that he liked this city. So we kind of made the decision then that we would go for Seattle for all the reasons that I had already listed and just him getting to see it. And I trust his opinion. So he flew back to Texas, and then we were kind of waiting on his job to give us the green light. Cases started popping up more, and I think it was St. Patrick's Day when Peoria kind of shut down, and then that was on a Tuesday, and then either on a Wednesday or a Thursday they notified him that they needed him in Seattle. So he booked a ticket, and then on Saturday he moved here. So it was really quick, and obviously he wasn't gonna say no, even though the timing was kind of strange because it was such a good opportunity for him, and he really liked the people he was going to be working with on his project here. And then he was going to stay in a hotel for like 4 weeks until he could find an apartment. But finding an apartment was really difficult. Obviously the whole city was like shut down, and Seattle took and is still taking fires very, very seriously, which is nice because, safety wise. So when he was trying to get a feel for neighborhoods, it was hard because he would drive around these neighborhoods and like not a single soul would be outside. So that kind of stunk. And then when he was in contact with apartment buildings for tours, a lot of them would never return phone calls or like return emails, which really sucked. So it limited our options there. We did find 3 apartments that we really wanted to look at. First apartment he had an appointment for, and he showed up there and he called the guy. He was like, "Hey, I'm outside, like how do I get in?" The guy's like, "Oh, I'll go meet you," and literally never showed up, and he was waiting outside for like an hour. The second one, it was smaller, it was a little bit more on the pricey side, and the area wasn't as walkable, which we really, really wanted. And then the third place we looked at was also pricey, but I mean, that's just Seattle in general. And then The apartment was a little bit bigger, the area was way more walkable, and it just seemed like a really good fit for us. So we chose that one, but availability wasn't for like a couple more weeks. So thankfully his company allowed him to extend his stay at the hotel, and which he really loved because he didn't have to clean up after himself. And then he got to move in here. So how we got here was, so obviously his company took care of his moving expenses, so the shipping of his car, his belongings, and then all of the plane tickets. But for me, it was different because obviously I didn't have the support of his company to help me out with deciding how I should get there. We weighed out the options of driving or flying there. Illinois to Washington is very, very far. And for me to do it by myself would have been dangerous, just because like me by myself, like not a good idea. And then to stop at all the gas stations and then stay at hotels, like just health wise, it didn't seem like the best decision. So we were kind of leaning towards flying. And then I called my vet because we have a dog. His name is E. He's currently sleeping right next to me. And they, said that they thought that the plane ride would be less stress on him than the 30-hour car ride and then all the stops at like hotels and stuff. So I had to bring him into the vet for a health certification certificate for him to get on the plane, and then they gave him anti-anxiety medication, which was supposed to make the trip easier on him. And I wouldn't have given it to him if the vet didn't recommend it, but she did recommend it, and obviously I trust the vet that we chose. So I, took that route. So then I needed to find how to get my stuff here. I wanted to bring my car, and then I had some stuff that I wanted to bring, but I didn't want to bring furniture because we were going to be buying all new furniture. So that was nice that I didn't have the issue of moving that. So whenever you go to ship your car, you have to find a broker, and then that broker puts out bids for a driver, and then the driver has to pick it up and blah, blah, blah. So I found a broker, and I read tons and tons of reviews on which company to choose, and I chose one with the best reviews. Even though it was a little bit more expensive, I felt it was important to choose a company that I trusted rather than just go the cheap route, because who knows how that would have turned out. So the date I chose for my car to be picked up was on a Monday, and I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday I had called because no one had contacted me about picking up my car, and I was like, hey, like how's it going? Like, have you found a driver? She's like, no, I haven't, and I've really been trying. I was thinking maybe we should up your bid. And I was like, okay, like if it'll get me a driver and get my car to where it needs to go, then yes, of course, let's do it. So then it had been a couple days, and then Friday, I got a call in the evening, I think like at 5, and it was the drivers, and they had picked up my bid, and I had asked them if I could put things in my car to ship, and I would pay an extra fee to do that. And they were like, oh yeah, like of course, like you just can't block the windows, so anything below the windows I could fill up with whatever I wanted. And I think I ended up putting like around like 250 pounds in my car. And if I would have chosen to ship that through like UPS or through like suitcases, like checking bags, it would have been like 5 times more expensive. So if you're doing that, I would recommend asking your driver if you could just pay extra and then stick all the stuff in your car. So that's what we did, and they showed up on Saturday, like earlier in the day, and they came and they took 1 billion pictures, literally 1 billion pictures of my car, and then they loaded it up on this big semi. If I have a picture of it, I'll try and insert it, because it was huge. And I ended up arriving in Seattle Monday morning, and it was super quick and easy. Kept in contact throughout the trip, which is really nice. I mean, meeting them, I wasn't worried at all. They're cool. So yeah, the only good thing about moving during this pandemic was that my plane tickets were super cheap, which was nice. I think shipping my car was around $1,200 or $1,300. So yeah, I think my plane ticket for myself was $130, and that included my checked bag, and then my dog flew in the cabin with me, so that was $150 just for his plane ticket. So he was just like in a pet carrier, and then he took his medicine, and it went really well, like super well. I was kind of surprised. And then we flew from Chicago, from O'Hare, through American Airlines. I've flown American Airlines literally like 50 times, so I felt safe in choosing them because I just have had really good experience with them. And a mask in the airport, I wore a mask in the plane. They were sanitizing everything. I brought hand sanitizer, wet wipes. I was careful about touching things. I just kept to myself. No one sat next to me on the plane. So that was nice because I was worried about that, because around that time I had heard that some companies were just filling up their planes and that they didn't care, but American Airlines didn't, which was super nice. When we arrived in Seattle, I didn't want to be the person to like spread the virus. God forbid I had it. I stayed home for like 2 weeks just to like self-quarantine because, like I said, I didn't want to be that person. So I just stayed in my apartment. I really only went inside to take my dog to the bathroom. We got Instacart for groceries, which honestly I do not recommend. It was a mess. I think they only got like a fourth of my groceries right. So, I mean, they were doing their best, whatever, but I just won't be doing that again. So, yeah, that's like how and why we got here. If you guys have any questions about moving, like, across the country or anywhere, like shipping cars, getting your pet situated, like, I'd be glad to help out because I wish I would have had a little bit more help, but, you know, it is what it is. Here we are. So yeah, just leave some comments or whatever. I put my Instagram in the description, so you can also contact me there. And just thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.